I'm joy. This is sadness. That's anger.
What?
This is disgust. And that's fear. We're Riley's emotions.
And that is all I feel comfortable telling you. And I'm about to say something very unlike YouTubers. Stop the video here if you haven't seen Inside Out, and go watch it. And I'm going to put an annotation right here if you want to just get to the review, but please hear me out before you do. I know I've been a good boy with these casual reviews. I don't do spoilers. I keep the things I talk about as generic as possible so I don't give too much away. But for this one, because my opinions, however much I try to take the detail out of them, could potentially create expectations or mental images in your mind. You could try to theorize about the movie. I think you should just go see it and have a fresh experience. I would like for you to know as little about the movie as possible before you go watch it. There, now that's out of the way, on to the review.
The good.
Obviously, the key thing that they should have nailed with this movie is emotion. And they do. Very powerfully. The characters of this movie create great allegories for the inner workings of emotions as well as the conflict that occurs when they start to fluctuate. Such an idea like this wouldn't work without good performances, and thankfully, this movie has nothing but good performances. It also has really clever writing that utilizes the idea that this film presents to us well. It creates more allegories about the things that go on in the mind besides just emotions, and it has really good story arcs for all of the characters to go through, both in and outside of the mind. This movie takes place at a certain time in a person's life that one could argue is a bit generic of a choice to choose, but it's hardly something to pick at because it's something that so many people can relate to, and that just compounds the effectiveness with which this story is told. Being a major emotion picture, as it likes to call itself, there's a lot of drama and tension in this movie, but there's plenty of humor in it to offset the drama. And that's one really good thing about certain Pixar movies, is they know how to tug your emotional strings just right and not break them.
The iffy.
There are a few concepts about the mind and emotions that are introduced into the movie, but don't necessarily play a huge part in everything, which is only a shame in the fact that I would have liked to see how these elements could have come into play in the story.
The bad.
What I have to say for the bad category is pretty much exactly the same as the iffy category. And while I won't say what it is, I feel like there's a certain allegory that could have been touched upon in this movie that was in fact touched upon a little bit, but not realized to its full potential. And I think this would have been really good for the movie if they had expanded upon it.
The verdict?
There were a few more things I could have talked about in regards to this movie, but I found they were mostly boiling down to nitpicks. I've seen trailers and thought about this movie before, about what it could be, what I want it to be, but you never really get a true feel for what those things mean until you get the entire movie experience all the way through and you just get to take it all in. Watching Inside Out was not only getting everything that I wanted out of it, but also getting the things I didn't know I want about it, and sometimes that's the best feeling of all. This is Detective Steve. Go see this movie. And bring tissues. Given that the main characters of this movie are essentially emotions... Tyler, I'm in the middle of shooting a video. This better be very important.